This image, taken in Providence, Rhode Island in November 1902, seems at first glance to be an ordinary relic of mourning, a solemn funeral photograph from the late Victorian era. Yet hidden among the grieving faces stands a man who was not mourning at all. He was the murderer himself. The photograph captures the funeral of Clara Whitcomb, a 32-year-old widow and philanthropist whose sudden death shocked the small but prosperous community of Providence. To her friends, Clara's passing was a tragedy of inexplicable misfortune. To the man who orchestrated it, it was the perfect disguise, one final act of control before vanishing forever. What makes this story remarkable is not only the murder itself, but how the truth was preserved unknowingly in the single photograph taken that day. It would take more than a century and the precision of digital forensic analysis to uncover the deception that had stood in plain sight since 1902. Clara Whitcomb was not an ordinary woman by any measure of her time. Born into one of Providence's most respected families, she had married Edward Whitcomb, an engineer and industrialist whose business supplied components to the rapidly expanding railroad industry. Their marriage was comfortable and socially advantageous. Yet after Edward's sudden death from pneumonia in 1899, Clara inherited both his wealth and control over his extensive business interests. In an era when women were rarely permitted authority in matters of finance, Clara's independence drew both admiration and suspicion. She refused to sell the company or surrender control to male relatives. Instead, she managed the enterprise herself, corresponding directly with clients in New York and Philadelphia, and overseeing accounts with a confidence that unsettled Providence's conservative elite. But Clara's independence also attracted those who saw opportunity in her trust. Among them was Dr. Leonard Hale, a respected physician and family acquaintance who had treated her late husband during his final illness. Hale had a reputation for discretion and charm, qualities that quickly earned him Clara's confidence. By 1901, he had become not only her personal doctor, but also a close friend. Some even whispered, a suitor. Unknown to Clara, Leonard Hale's prestige was already crumbling beneath a mountain of gambling debts and secret financial manipulations. Behind his respectable practice, he maintained costly habits in Boston's private clubs. Habits funded through fraudulent medical bills and loans acquired under false pretenses. When Clara entrusted him with her health, and later with small financial matters related to her company's insurance policies, Hale saw an opportunity to solve his problems permanently. In the months preceding Clara's death, subtle changes appeared in her correspondence and behavior. Letters preserved in the Providence Historical Archive reveal increasing anxiety and physical weakness. In one, dated October 9, 1902, she writes to a friend, "My hands tremble without cause, and I wake each night with a dreadful sense of choking." Her symptoms, tremors, fatigue, intermittent paralysis, were dismissed by Dr. Hale as the product of nervous exhaustion. But modern readers will recognize these as classic signs of arsenic poisoning. The household staff later recalled that Hale frequently visited the Whitcomb residence alone, often bringing restorative tonics he personally prepared. One maid remembered a particular smell, sweet, like almonds, from the liquid he insisted Clara drink each evening. These details were ignored at the time. After all, Hale was a doctor, a man of science and respectability. On the morning of November 2, 1902, Clara was found unresponsive in her bed by her housekeeper, Mary Donlin. The attending physician, Hale himself, pronounced her dead of heart failure and prepared the death certificate within hours. No autopsy was ordered. Within 2 days, funeral preparations began. The Whitcomb family commissioned the services of Frederick Lang, one of Providence's leading photographers, to document the ceremony. Mortuary photographs were not uncommon at the turn of the century. They served as solemn memorials, a final visual link between the living and the departed. Lang, known for his precision and taste, noted in his diary that the light was poor, the crowd large, and the atmosphere unusually tense. Among the mourners that day stood Dr. Leonard Hale, dressed impeccably in black. He had arrived late, interrupting the formation of the funeral group for the official photograph. His presence, according to Lang's later notes, caused some discomfort among the attendants. No one knew why, but everyone remembered the silence that followed his arrival. For decades, this photograph was simply one more artifact of Victorian mourning. It wasn't until 2017 that its real significance began to emerge. That year, a team of researchers from Brown University began cataloging Lang's surviving glass negatives for digital preservation. When they reached the Whitcomb funeral plate, one analyst noticed something peculiar: faint marks of retouching around the figure of a man near the center, his facial features slightly blurred, his expression oddly tense. Curiosity led the researchers to cross-reference the figure with other known portraits from the period. Using facial comparison algorithms, they confirmed with near certainty that the blurred figure was indeed Dr. Leonard Hale. This alone might have meant little. After all, Hale had been Clara's physician and friend. But the deeper they looked, the darker the story became. Archival research uncovered a series of correspondences between Hale and local pharmacists from 1901 and 1902, revealing multiple purchases of arsenic-based compounds. Ostensibly, these were for laboratory use, but the quantities and frequency far exceeded medical necessity. More damningly, bank records showed substantial cash withdrawals from Clara Whitcomb's account during the last 6 months of her life, all authorized with a forged signature that modern handwriting experts have confirmed was Hale's. The evidence painted a chilling picture. Hale had not only poisoned Clara, he had systematically drained her fortune in preparation for his escape. The most extraordinary detail, however, lay hidden within the photograph itself. When enhanced under spectral imaging, researchers discovered faint chemical irregularities surrounding Hale's figure, evidence that the original print had been altered during development. The emulsion around his face and hands had been carefully scraped and repainted to soften his features, exactly the kind of manipulation used by professionals to disguise imperfections, or, in this case, identities. Lang's surviving account book contained a mysterious entry dated November 20th, 1902. Private commission, additional retouching, $250, payment in cash. The amount was nearly 10 times his standard fee. Beneath the entry, written faintly in pencil, was a cryptic note. The gentleman insisted, said it was a matter of reputation. The timing of this payment, just weeks after Clara's funeral, leaves little doubt about its source. While the photograph lay forgotten in storage, other clues surfaced that would eventually link Hale to a broader pattern of deceit. In early 1903, the estate executor discovered irregularities in the Whitcomb Company accounts, missing funds, altered ledgers, and fake invoices bearing Hale's signature. An internal investigation revealed that he had gained temporary control of Clara's personal finances under the guise of handling her insurance settlements. But by the time suspicion crystallized, Hale was gone. He closed his medical practice, sold his home, and boarded a train to Montreal under a false name. From there, his trail went cold. For nearly half a century, the Whitcomb case remained an unresolved footnote in local history. Then, in 1951, renovation workers in a Providence townhouse, once owned by Hale's former business associate, found a locked trunk concealed behind a wall panel. Inside were several objects: a stethoscope, faded documents, and a small leather journal. The journal, written in Hale's distinctive hand, contained fragments of confession mixed with rambling justifications. One entry read, "She would have ruined everything. She discovered the papers, the withdrawals. I had to act, but I gave her peace. She did not suffer long. Still, I cannot rid myself of her eyes. Watching, though insufficient for a legal case, the diary corroborated what modern analysts had already begun to suspect. The doctor who appeared as a mourner in the photograph was, in truth, the murderer himself, posing among genuine grief to admire the success of his deception. When the rediscovered image was digitally restored in 2020, the results were haunting. Hale's blurred features re-emerged with clarity. His eyes, narrowed and fixed, seemed to look directly at the camera. Experts in behavioral analysis describe his posture as guarded dominance, a stance of vigilance hidden beneath composure. His right hand, resting stiffly on the back of a chair, is clenched in a subtle fist. What makes the image so unsettling is its normality. He stands mere inches from the coffin of his victim, his expression solemn, his appearance impeccable, yet every detail of his presence is steeped in guilt. The discovery transformed what had long been dismissed as a local curiosity into one of the most remarkable cases of visual evidence ever uncovered from the early 20th century. The photograph became a centerpiece of a traveling museum exhibit on historical crime and forensic imaging, titled Mourning Shadows: The Unseen. Truths of Victorian Photography. Forensic historians have since confirmed that traces of arsenic were found in a lock of Clara's hair preserved in a memorial locket, final proof of deliberate poisoning. Together, these fragments, letters, ledger books, a diary, and a single altered photograph, compose a complete narrative of betrayal and murder that might otherwise have vanished entirely. But beyond its forensic significance, the story of Clara Whitcomb and Dr. Hale remains a chilling testament to human deceit. Hale's decision to appear at the funeral he himself caused defies explanation. Perhaps it was arrogance, or the psychological need to witness his own success. Or perhaps, like many criminals of intellect, he felt untouchable, believing that his composure would shield him from suspicion forever. He was wrong. The photograph he paid to alter became the very evidence that condemned him in history's eyes. A century after his death, he is believed to have died under an assumed name in Buenos Aires in 1915, his image was restored and unmasked. Forensic technology had finally accomplished what conscience and justice never could, exposing the killer hidden among mourners. Today, when viewed in full clarity, the photograph is more than an image. It's a reminder that evil often hides not in the shadows, but in the open, smiling, composed, perfectly ordinary. Frederick Lang's lens captured more than grief that day. It froze a moment of unimaginable audacity, a murderer posing as a mourner, standing beside the coffin of the woman he poisoned, confident that his secret would die with her. He was wrong about that, too. If this story of deceit, murder, and discovery through old photographs fascinated you, remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next hidden truth from history's most mysterious images. Because sometimes, the camera sees what no one else can.